Welcome to Dub Turbo 2.0. This will be the first tutorial video. We'll walk over the basics of all the elements. You guys brand new to beat production, you'll appreciate this the most. Some of you that have already been through a few DAWs or beat production tools, you might want to skip to the more advanced video, which is video number 2. However, for this first one, we're going to learn how to make a beat. We encourage you guys to watch, listen, and then pause. Do exactly what we do to replicate it, and you'll understand music theory, bar structure, beat patterns, melodies, sort of all at the same time on a kind of subliminal level as I teach you guys, and you're just doing and watching and doing and understanding through the process and going, aha, I get it. And then as of the second video onwards, it should be very interesting for you guys, and you'll fast track this and be able to max out the use pretty quick. So what we'll do first is understand this top part. Most of the stuff's pretty easy. New, simply opens a new canvas. Open will open a file that you've made, which we'll go over later in the video. Save as. We don't have a save and a save as, just a save as. And you can keep overwriting the file, or you can make versions of it. So you want to keep the bar 1, beat 1, first version that you made, save it as version, 1.dub project, and then as you keep working forward, you can do versions or keep saving it over itself. The views, you won't be able to see because I'm only recording the space on my monitor that shows Dub Turbo, not the whole screen, but this is the normal view that we're on now. Blackout view will make your background on your desktop black, so there's no distractions behind the app. However, the app won't change size, it'll remain the size, and then full screen will stretch the app to your limit, whatever it reaches first. So if you have a wide screen, it'll probably be vertical. Anyway, file name we've added now, so you know what file you're on and what's open. Metronome. This works in tandem with our tempo. So if we turn this on right now and press play, we're going to hear a ticker tick away at 120 BPM, and BPM stands for beats per minute. So you'll hear 120 in 60 seconds. Okay, and that depicts a lot of what the music that you're going to develop will sound like. We'll go over the tempos that are most commonly used in the different genres later in the videos. Right now it doesn't really matter. We'll stick to, say, 101. So go ahead and change yours to 101. Just click in there, press 101, and press enter. I'll take a quick note to say that we move 2 decimal places, and this is universal. So if you export or bounce tracks or export elements out of this and import into any of the bigger DAWs out there, we follow their universal time clock. So if you make a beat at 101 in here, drop it into Cubase, for instance, line that up at 101, you'll hear the metronome in there tick away perfectly, and we match it up beautifully. So it's universal. And export simply exports whatever you've made to a 40:1 stereo WAV file. The bar count, right now it's at 2. We can grow it out to 199 now. And you don't really see much happening, and you won't until you have some bars in there so you can see what's what. But that used to take a long time to calculate. Now you can, it doesn't matter how many bars you can make random and odd numbers of bars. Everything's pretty seamless. So from the previous versions, that's a big improvement for us. People are getting stuck there a lot, and it was freezing the app on them a lot. Let's go ahead and start. These 3 tools are the most commonly, well, they're the only tools, but they're the most common in beat production, and they're shortcuts for pretty much everything. So the more I use this, the more I'm going to be using the keyboard instead of clicking on everything here, because there's shortcuts for all the stuff. So, for instance, I press the letter P on my keyboard, and that accesses my pencil. O, right beside it, is the arrow, and the left bracket beside the P. All 3 buttons are right beside each other, so I can maneuver around those real quick. Here, it's the colon, just brings your ticker back to the start. L for loop, pretty obvious. The loop function is perfect now. The loop loops perfectly. Play, spacebar, stop, spacebar, record is right above your enter button. Try to make all the shortcuts very, very friendly. Control E opens and closes bars now too. So the first thing we'll do, click on a pencil, and whoops, I'm on a big bar count here. Let's bring this back down to 2. So we start, and just erase that. Pencil, click, and you have a bar. Click, hold, and drag, you have 2 bars. If this is open more, you can have longer, but we try to encourage you guys to use 2 bars when you're doing your loops and patterns to then group and grow from, or 1 bar if you're just going to do a quick little addition, like a little crash cymbal to drop a beat in, or a little roll at the end. You'll just want to add 1 bar. I'm going to encourage you guys to always use click, hold, and drag. Use 2 bars at first when starting a beat. Control E. And now here's obviously all of our kits. They're all grouped nicely and named nicely, and there's a bunch of extra stuff that we've added, and we've categorized them in 2 different columns now because it's grown so much, and this was really sensitive. You couldn't really scroll too easily, and we've done that for both panels now. Okay, so you choose a kit. Say we'll go to Hip Hop 4. Cool, right? All of those have volumes too, so you can master the kits further than we have. If you think something's too loud or too quiet, you can move that down. These same pads are triggered by the keyboard you type on. Numbers 1 through 0 on your keyboard. If you're using the keyboard on the right versus the one on top, you desktop users, then make sure your number lock is on for that to work. And then you can also preview them again here. So as I'm building, if I forget what's what and I get a little confused on down here, I can just go, okay, that's right, that's my clap, boom. And it's obviously spelled right out for you. But try to make it as friendly as possible for everybody. So we'll start off with a 101 BPM beat. Turn that off. And we'll do a little hip hop beat. So again, do what I'm doing here. And you'll have a very, very simple hip hop beat to start off with. I'm going to add one more here. So if you understand what's happening now, the timing is basically going from here to here. So this is 2 bars because we drew in 2 bars. So you hear 8 ticks. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. In between all those ticks, we have 4 spots for notes to go in. Typically on big DAWs, you'd be able to change that so you can have 8 spots or 32 spots in there. We don't do that as a choice to change quantizing. However, what you can do is simply double up your tempo and then draw bars twice as big and work with them that way to split it up. So it's kind of the same thing. You just kind of have to trick out the app. Okay, so we'll go back in here. Oops. Oh, great. I have no tempo. Okay, and we'll continue. We usually lay out the drums the same. So these first 2 are kicks. Then we move into snares, hi-hats, claps, toms, rims. 9 and 10 are usually another tom or a crash. 7 through 10 are usually different, but 1 through 6 are always 2 kicks, 2 snares, 2 hi-hats, and then 4 random. That means when I make this beat and then change up the kit after, it's going to remain sounding cool and the same, and I don't have to go in there and switch up, okay, now the kit's on 7, and then, you know, it's all different per kit. Everything's pretty much the same. Once you get down to the voxes and the effects, it's obviously different. But for the beats and for the drums, it's all pretty universal. Okay, now we'll add a quick hi-hat under 5. If you want to change up what you're doing compared to me, so copy what you see me do and then just add an extra one or eliminate a few, start understanding what is happening here, what sequencing really is. It's simple trigger-based sequencing on a grid, and as we move further along the grid, everything just kind of gets played. It's pretty simple. If you could think of back in the day, those little music boxes that would open up, that they were kind of the same. They just had little prongs sticking out, and they would trigger certain notes as the big wheels spun. So this is a very modern way of looking at that. Notice the loop is now perfect. You can turn the metronome off now. That second one, I can do a few things here. I can simply copy that down now, or I can create a new pattern. So I'm on Hip Hop 4, and I have Crunk 2 on channel 2. If I hold down Shift right now, I click on them, and then hold down Shift, and then click, hold, and drag downwards. Now I have 2. So now I have that same pattern on number 2. And here I can change this up so it contrasts that one, or I can leave it exactly the same so it doubles. So now we'll have that same beat going twice. Sometimes it's too much, you'll have to lower one, or like I said before, change it up so that it's a little bit different. Hi-hats, we'll just turn those almost right down. That's really powerful. We'll turn that right down. Maybe move it over a couple, just so it's different. That snare is just kicking my ass. Turn that down. Okay, so I'm pressing spacebar every time I want to start and stop it. I'm trying to remember to announce all the shortcuts I'm using, but I'm going to forget here and there. So just keep in mind when you see things glowing and I haven't moved the mouse, it's because I'm using all those little shortcuts. Here, obviously, this is our 16 channels that represents these 16 channels. So right now I'm on channel 2 and it's crunk 2. Down here, 1, 2. Okay, and I'm moving the channel up and down in volume, or I'm soloing that. So that's all I'll hear. Or I'm muting it. And once you have 10 layers going, the soloing and muting will come in handy so you can hear combinations of stuff before you finalize it and whatnot, which is pretty standard for most AWs. Once you get past 8, the first 4 are drums, then the next 4 are keyboards, and then the next 8 are blank. Once you get to 9, you can choose. Well, all of them can be changed, but once you get to 9, you choose. Click, hold, and drag down to keys or drums or empty. So we'll say it's keys. Everything's been color-coded too, so we can go back into the pencil. It's a bit of a color change as well, and it's got a little icon for keyboard, and then in the drum section, it's just 4 little dots to represent the drums. You'll see it changes color as well. So you always know what's what. Control E opens her up, and this gets us to our keyboard panel. And same thing, we've categorized them here, and everything is opened as far as the folders go now instead of having them in folders. It's just nice and easy to see everything up at front. And you'll have all kinds of stuff in here. And we even put drums in here and voxes in here so that you can bend them. When I say bend them, I mean you grab a snare. Okay, you can really screw with sounds and make them really interesting as far as patterns, builds, drops, rolls, fills, and stuff like that goes. I love that part of the app, actually. It's probably my favorite part, is that I can bend stuff. And then with the voxes, let's try to find some voxes.
Dance. Break it. Break it. Break it. Break it.
Doesn't really work too well with that specific one, but there's a lot of really cool and ha, hey, yeah, that kind of stuff where it sounds really cool when you lower it a couple notes and stuff. So all that's very, very flexible. So okay, let's just go choose some horns. I don't know. Nice and simple. All that can be changed. By the way, let's go back in there for a second. Control E. So I laid it down. Let's see. I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of cheesy. Let's change it up. Boom. 3. Say I like that, and let's say I'm like, you know what? I like that, but it still sounds a little cheese. Let's copy that down. Hold down Control. Click, hold, and drag down, and now we have horn fun and bass air. And bass air is obviously a bass sound. So you can start duplicating your melodies and changing up the instrument so that your bass line follows your horn or follows your trumpet or something else you've made, or you build it to be totally unique. But it's a very easy way to get your sounds started to complement each other without having to start them from scratch every time. Because now I could just remove some of these. In fact, I'm going to have to. There's a lot of notes for bass line to be happening. So get rid of some of these guys. And that bass is so low that you might not even hear it. So let's just choose a different one. Cool. Not bad. Keep going. Oftentimes, most producers will tell you it's almost like an artist drawing. You kind of see what you want it to look like once you're done, but you have no clue how you're going to get there. But you know it's going to sound good. You know the patterns in your head or whatever's kind of fumbling in your head. nothing's really set, so it's not like before I started this track I know exactly what it's going to sound like and I'm just going to go ahead and do it. You'll go through that too. Everything's a creative process, and it's all, hey, that sounds great, or that's crap. It's, you know, get rid of that hook and start something else. And so having said that, you know, a lot of it's exploring the sound kits and the sound library. Some of the sounds are short, sweet, some of them are longer. Unfortunately, it's not sustainable samples, so it doesn't matter how long you hold the note for, it's just going to trigger the sound and play it. And that's that. So we've made everything very diverse, and you have a lot of variety of stuff that's short, long, panned, echoed, not echoed, raw, and complementing itself. Once you have a lot of layers going, it's really, really full and stereo imaged and nice right from the get-go, so you don't have to worry too much about the mastering and compression process afterwards. We do a lot of that for you right up front because the kit library has been built that way to be very flexible for you. Okay, so let's continue finding a good bass here. That's not bad. Probably have to turn that down. That's the horn. There it is. Okay, so we'll just draw another layer on the keys, and that will contrast and complement that horn with something bright. Maybe like a trumpet, a violin. I don't know. We'll go to the second column here and start trying to find some cool sounds. Okay, coming out kind of pretty cheesy, to be honest. I'm not too fond of it, but just for the sake of the tutorial video, we'll keep going with it. Going over some of these, just making sure I haven't forgotten anything. Obviously, clicking the edit button opens the bar. You have to actually have a bar selected. You can't just randomly start clicking edit. So choose a bar, then click edit, or choose a bar and Control E. And then Control E again to close it. The loop is pretty self-explanatory. You click on loop, it gives you nodes that you can drag. So let's say you only want to hear this part, and loop just this little tiny bit. Stop that for a second. Bar count. We'll now highlight that, and we'll move that up to 8, let's say, and press enter. Now we'll have to obviously move our loop node out, and we can drag all these over and copy them now. And we used to have to do this at one at a time. So I'd hold down, I'd grab one, I'd hold down shift, click, hold, and drag, and I just made a copy. Now I grab one, I hold down control now instead of shift. Control, holding it down, I click the rest of them. Now let go of everything. Now hold shift, click, hold, and drag. You see what happens there? So now I just made duplicates of everything and moved it over on my timeline. I'll bring this back now. Now what I can do is I can go in here and edit all these guys very quickly, just to sort of make it a bit different. And we'll kind of try to do that on all of them. Doesn't have to be a huge change. Could be just a little accent near the end. And I'm being really fast and random here, so this might not sound all that great, but it probably will still sound half decent. Okay. And then when we do this again, you can change that last part up even more. So let's do that actually. Again, I'll do really small changes just so you guys are getting it. Okay, I held down control. I clicked on everything. I let go. Then I held down shift, click, hold, and drag everything over to copy it. Now here on this first one, I'm going to add a little crash. That's on the last one. I know my way around it. That's why I knew where to go right away. But you'd find yourself a kit that has a crash. Usually it's on this last pad. and then just add 1 right there. So that means once the beat gets to here, psh, it's going to add a nice snare there. And then here, I'm going to just fill this right in. And then I'm going to erase these guys, leaving room for the kick drum up here to go, and then back to here. Okay. I'll be very untraditional here. Leave that alone. In fact, I'm just going to get rid of all of them except for 1 there and 1 at the beginning. Okay, so now we have a nice 8-bar loop going. Okay, so you see how music starts to work now, where everything's done in groups of bars and bar structure, and build-ups happen this way, and drops happen, and crashes happen where they're supposed to. This is sort of the basic fundamentals of music. You're changing the tempo, you're adding different beat structures, and you have house. Kind of works the same. Reggae, same thing. So we'll go through all these genres, music types, and whatnot, and I'm sure already, if you're brand new to music creation, already you understand what's happening. If this is still too fast for you guys, don't be shy to let me know. I'll do an even slower video to slow everything down for you some more, but I'm hoping you guys can keep up with this. It's not that complex. At this stage, you start noticing what's too quiet, too loud, and you can start changing up your volumes and maybe doubling up on more sounds. Like, let's say that horn, I still want another double on that horn. So what I'm doing now is copying the horn bars to another layer down here. I'm going to click edit, click on one, click edit, and I'm going to find myself something that complements that horn. It'll still follow the same pattern, maybe a guitar actually. Don't really hear it. That first horn is way too loud. I'll also say that a lot of the instruments have been recorded way higher than normal because I'd rather have you guys mix down than not have enough volume per instruments. So you might find that your drums are nice and lined up and all your instruments are way down in these levels, and that's fine. Don't worry about that. It's not untraditional at all. It's not bad. Okay, maybe the same thing for that violin. Maybe I want to double up on that violin. Maybe have a violin going alongside oh, it doesn't really matter. If you're just going in there to change the sound type, not the actual notes, I can click on any of these bars on this layer and click edit or control E and just get to whatever sound I want and change it, and I'm good for that layer. It won't just change that one bar and everything else will be whatever it was before. Once you change it here, it's good for the whole layer. So you're like, okay, layer, well, this one 9, I want to change it. Click on any of the bars, find whatever sound you want, close it, and you're good to go. Well, you'll probably be in there looking at the sounds, trying to find a good one that matches whatever you're trying to match it up to. Violin and cello, that might work well. Gotta turn it down though. And yeah, I already like it. Let's see how it goes. Another thing you can do, I should have saved this, or I should save this for the advanced video, but it's not that advanced, is chording. If you know how to chord, and we have chord charts in the members area as well, I'm going to make new ones too that go over actually all of the chords, all the majors, all the minor, everything. You can chord very easily. So you can hear that chording by itself. Let me solo that out. Okay, so you can chord really nicely. Because the samples are trigger based, not sustaining samples, the chording won't work on everything, obviously. And not every instrument sounds good chorded. Not every, like bass lines you can't really chord. You know, certain elements or leads you can't really chord too well. It starts sounding muddy. So be choosy with what you chord if you are going to go that route. Also, at this stage, you can start, like I was saying before, you can start muting stuff so that you get little combos going. Sounds kind of cool. I mean, you can mute those, just get the horns and the low end going. Maybe you want just the other drum set going. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there for this video. Hopefully you guys did what I did and you have the same beat going on. What you can do now is save your file. So we'll do that as a last step and then open it. So we're going to save. It'll just give you a little warning saying make sure to add your .dub project file extension. Don't remove that. I'm just calling it dub test .dub project. You guys can call it whatever you want. You can save it wherever you want on your computer. Just make sure to remember where it is so you can find it after when it comes time to reopen it. Okay, so we saved it. We will export it as well. You'll just see it exporting your arrangement. And this is right now creating a WAV file for you. While it's doing that, I'll also tell you that you can solo each of these and export one layer at a time. So you have every single layer as its own WAV file. You have a collection of all these 8 bars, each instrument, each drum set as its own file. And then you can import all of those into a bigger DAW, a Cubase, or whatever, and then keep going with it to grow your full track or to compress or master or effect it any way that you can't in Dub Turbo. What are we at here? 101 BPM. Dub 2 beat. To demonstrate, I'm going to restart the app and then just go to open and go find the file, dub test. You open it, if you press play, nothing happens. There's a very simple solution, and that simply is to click on your loop and then just drag your end loop node and place it again, just anywhere. Just drag it and then re-drop it where it's supposed to be. It should be fine. Otherwise, what sometimes tends to happen is it'll play this first set of bars and the ticker will keep going, but you won't hear nothing. And you'll be like, why is it only playing my first bar? Okay, so this opened. Let's go look at our beat that we made. And double click, and there we go. So even that right there, I can go and sell this. Not to say it's a hot beat and people will line up to buy it. I'm just making a point. That's how easy it is to make a beat with dub. Quick 16 bar or 8 bars. I'm gonna grow this to 32, and now very quickly just show you guys. You know, even at 32, actually screw it. Let's go to 64. 64 bars is enough for a verse and a chorus. Depending on what tempo you're working at too, that's different. And there's no quantizing yet, so that's still even more different. So we can structure out a quick 16 bars at first for an intro or your chorus, and then this rest could just be a verse. And the verse could be the same thing, minus maybe the second overlay of drums, and what else? Maybe minus the horns, and just keep the violin going, and the cello, and the bass. Okay, so a little change up, and boom, you have yourself chorus, and more than enough for a verse. So you export that, bring it into a Cubase or something else, add your vocals, and there's a full track for you. It's that simple with this. Now I can go in here and any of these bars that I edit, it'll edit just that one versus the whole section, obviously, right? So I can do, like, you know, take the bass out for this part here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The second half, maybe I want to take those 4 out. Then maybe I want to take those 4 out. You'll start getting creative with how to lay out and structure the arrangement. And you'll notice that once you get out of this and into Cubase or something else, once you import this, you can literally drag any little bit together and string your whole chorus out of that. Or maybe you like, you just did a little bit something different right there, and you really like that, and you want that to be your bridge. So you export and pull that bit and loop that a few times to create your bridge. So it's very, very easy to work with dub and other DAWs. Cool. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Found it informative. Hope I didn't miss nothing. These guys here are just joggers. So instead of opening up the bars, clicking on a bar and pressing edit and choosing something, if you want to just go one by one, you can just scroll them here. And then same with the keyboard layers. If you want a keyboard layer, scroll them here. If you're on a keyboard layer and you hit the drums, obviously nothing will happen. So don't be wondering what's going on. Why don't I hear nothing? You're on a keyboard layer. You have to be on a drum layer and you'll hear. And then even then you have to know what you're on to hear that kit that you want to hear. And then if you're on a drum layer and you hit keys, you'll hear the metronome. It's not recordable, it's not a sound, it's just to indicate, hey, you're on a keyboard track, silly. I mean, you're on a drum track, silly. Stop hitting the keyboard. You're supposed to be over here. Okay? Cool. See you guys in the more advanced video number 2. See you soon.